Hi everyone, welcome to Rain Francis Art for Kids. This is part of our Countdown to Christmas series, festive art every Sunday to celebrate the seasons. So grab your colored pencils and let's get creative together. This drawing is extra cozy and fun. We'll be drawing a cozy cabin in the woods with a sleepy dog curled up by the door. So let's jump in. This is what you'll need for today's drawing. You're going to need a piece of paper. I have my dollar store drawing pad here. It's 8.5 by 11 inches wide. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and I always have my old paintbrush lying around to dust off my page. I also have a lot of nice coloring pencils today. We've got a dark green and a light green. I have a brown color. I have yellow, I have black and gray, and I have these two colors here. One is called mineral orange, and it's sort of a brown orange. It's a dark brown orange. And this one is called Goldenrod. This one kind of looks like a tan color or a maybe very dark yellowy orange color. So if you have colors that look like this, that would be great. These colors here are for the cottage itself. So if you don't have these specific colors, you can use any kind of browns, or you can make it a very colorful cottage if you like. I also have my fine tipped black marker for outlining. So why don't I clear off my page and we can begin drawing our cozy cottage in the woods with a sleepy puppy. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing the actual cottage itself. Okay, so what we're going to do is draw a big square. Like that. And then we'll draw a little triangle on top. Okay, now what I want to do is erase that line. So I'm going to erase it. Actually, I have this fancy little eraser that I'm going to use. I like using this one. But you use whatever eraser you have. Let's get rid of that line. See how nice it is to use that brush? It's cool. And now watch what I'm going to do. A straight line here. More or less straight, another straight line here, and a straight line here. Okay, now we're going to connect this to this, and this one is going to go a little bit of a triangle because that's the edge of the roof right there. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to add a little bit more roof over here, just like that. So that's the basic shape of our cottage. And I'd like to add a chimney. So what I'm going to do is draw a slanted line like that. And then a little rectangular shape like that. And inside there, let's erase that line right away. Because the chimney is in front of the house, not behind the house, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to add, what should we add first? I think what we're going to add is a porch. Just a little porch here. And we're actually going to draw a line this way too. And I want to fix this because it should be the same shape as the house. That one was a little crooked. Okay. I feel better about that. Now what I'd like to do is draw my sleeping puppy. I'm going to draw, let's see if I can get it right here. Let's draw his head and his nose. And we'll draw a long ear. And then his body and a little tail coming up. And his little foot. his body like that, and maybe his little paw like that. He's got a big black nose. We'll color that in after. And he's sleeping, so his eyes go like that. He kind of looks like Snoopy, doesn't he? Oh, that's cute. Okay, so now I'm going to draw the door. I wanted to draw our little Snoopy dog first, because he's going to be in front of the door. So we're going to stop there, and we're going to make a big doorknob. Okay? And now we're going to draw a little window up here, and it's going to be the same shape as the door. It's going to have a round top, and we'll draw a little crisscross in the middle there. And on each side of the door, we're going to draw rectangles with a line in between. These are going to be shutters. On these old cottages, they have wooden shutters. My cottage has wooden shutters. And they close from the outside to keep the wind out. And then on this side, we're going to have a little window as well. Just a rectangle with a crisscross in the middle. All right. So that's the roof. That's the cottage. That's the chimney. That's our little Snoopy dog. So we're good there. Now what I'd like to do is, because this is in the woods, we're going to draw some trees, okay? And they're going to be behind the house. So watch how I draw the trees. Round on top, squiggly, 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 squiggly. And then because it's behind the house, we're doing squigglies, but we have to stop when we get to the house. And we'll put a little tree trunk here. Why don't we just put a little ground like that? Okay? And we'll draw one behind the house here. Round on top, squiggly, stop, squiggly, stop. We don't want it too close to the chimney, so why don't we draw a little tree on this side? Round on the top, and we're going to probably go in front of the house, so watch. Squiggly, 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 and then a tree trunk. Now what we want to do is erase any lines that are inside the tree, because that tree is in front of the house. Okay. Excuse me. I lost my voice there for a second. So that is the sketch of our cozy cabin with our sleepy puppy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black fine tip marker and I'm losing my voice here. I'm going to outline everything that I've drawn in pencil, because what I'm going to do is erase my pencil marks. So I'm loosely following my pencil marks. I'm not following them completely because I know that I'm going to be erasing them. So I don't mind if I go outside my pencil lines. But if you're not going to erase your pencil marks, I would suggest that you try to follow them, okay? But I'm not too concerned about it, so I'm not going to follow them too much. Now this is a big drawing today. We're going to be using a lot of color. So if as we go along, you notice that you need to stop and sharpen your pencil, go ahead. Just pause the video and I'll be right here when you come back. I may have to do the same. I have my pencil sharpener all ready next to me, just in case. See, I'm not really following my pencil marks because I know I'm going to be erasing them. I really like the way it looks when it's outlined. Now I'm going to be careful with my little Snoopy dog here. Let's give him a smile too. Just a little smile. Because he's having a nice dream. And if you are more of a cat person, you could draw a cat there instead of a dog. There we go. I think I got everything outlined. So, oh no, I forgot this. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all of my pencil marks. And I always tell you, be careful and make sure that your marker is dry before you start erasing. Okay? So I'm going to start erasing. I'm holding my page down because sometimes when I erase, I pull the page up and it bends the page. And then it doesn't look nice. There's a big crease in it. So I'm being careful this time. I don't want to create a big crease in my drawing page. There we go. I moved that. Sorry about that. Let's get all those eraser bits off here. Now, did I forget anywhere? There's a little pencil mark here. And around the windows. There we go. So I think I'm good with that. So why don't we start adding some color? I'm going to start with the trees. I'm going to take that light green and I'm going to color in this tree green and this tree light green, and the one back there probably will be dark green. So why don't we start just coloring in our tree. Now when you're using coloring pencils, you don't have to press down hard at all, because we're going to be adding a lot of color. And I'll talk about that later, but just use a light touch. I just noticed I've got a little bit of a pencil mark there. I want to get rid of that. There we go. So as I was saying, use a light touch and turn your pencil once in a while so you don't wear it all down on one side. Because when you wear it down on one side, what happens is it puts a lot of pressure on the tip, and the tip will break. And then you have to sharpen it more often, and it doesn't last as long. And we want to try to keep our art supplies as long as we can, so we don't have to keep buying more and buying more and buying more, because these can get expensive sometimes. It's a good lesson for you to conserve what you have as long as you can. I use these until I can't sharpen them anymore. When they don't fit into the sharpener anymore, then I know I can't use them anymore. And usually that means they're about this big. They're very short. I use them all the way till the end. Okay. So basically what we've done is we've colored in one layer of green. Now we're going to add a second layer of green, which only means that we're going to be coloring it in a second time. That's why I said don't press down hard, because you don't have to. We're going to be adding layers. And you can add 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers. You add as many layers as you want to get the color you like, and you can see the difference between 1 layer and 2 layers. I think it's always nice to add more layers of color because it makes the color pop. Now don't forget to turn your pencil. These trees look like they should be in a Bugs Bunny video. Bugs Bunny TV show. They're very cartoonish. And if you wanted to, you could make these trees orange or yellow if it's autumn time in your drawing. You can make them a nice fall color. Okay, so that tree is done, but I'm going to take that brown color and I'm going to color in the trunk. And again, I'm using a light touch as my tip just broke. And I'm going to turn my pencil and give that a second layer of brown just to make it nice and dark. There we go. I'm going to work left to right, so I'm going to start with the house right now. Now, the roof is going to be that color, that brown color. So I'm going to color that in right away. Turning my pencil with a light touch. And I don't want to get any of that color into the chimney because that's going to be a different color. But let's just get that roof done. Turning my pencil. One of my dogs started snoring. I don't know if you can hear that. Oh, one of them's awake and just shook. I have 5 dogs, so in my videos, you're always going to hear dog noises. Once in a while, you might hear a cat noise, because I have a cat also, but he's asleep too. He's got a little bed on top of my dresser, and he just sleeps there a lot. So now I'm going to add a second layer of color to the roof. And again, that just means that I'm adding more color. I'm coloring it in a second time. It makes it nice and dark. And I am turning my pencil. You know, this drawing reminds me of my own house because I do live in the woods and I have a cozy little cabin. It's a cottage. And I have several dogs. I don't have a Snoopy dog. I used to. Snoopy is a beagle. And I used to have a hound dog. He was a mix of a pointer and a beagle. And beagles are considered hounds. So I used to call him my hound dog Jack, because that was his name, Jack. And he looked like Snoopy. He had long black ears, and he had that beagle in him. So when I was putting this drawing idea together, I thought, well, maybe I'll make it look like my house and put a little Jack dog on the porch. My roof is brown too. So what I'm going to do is go through and add a quick third layer just in areas where I just want the page to show a little less underneath. There we go. Since we're here, why don't we color in that tree? And I'm going to use that darker green to color in that tree, just to make it look interesting, so they're not all the same color. And I'm turning my pencil and I'm using a light touch, with fingers crossed that I will not break this tip. Okay, I am going to color it in a second time, meaning I will add a second layer of color to make that green dark, nice and dark. You know, you can use markers for this too, or if you want to challenge yourself, you could try to paint it. You could outline everything and then paint it with acrylics or even watercolor. Just make sure you have the right paper. I think that would be a nice art project. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to take my brown again and I'm going to color in the shutters, the door, not the doorknob, and the bottom here. And I'm going to be careful around my dog. I don't want to get any brown into the dog because he's not a brown dog. He's got black ears, but he's pretty much a white dog. Think of Snoopy. Adding a second layer of color here. And then the door. I think I might have to stop and sharpen this pencil. I'm going to be careful around that doorknob. And I'm going to be careful around the little Snoopy dog. I'm going to sharpen my pencil because it's getting a little dull. There we go. That's nice and sharp now, so I have to be careful not to break the tip. So I better remind myself to turn. Oof. My puppy just flopped on the floor and banged down really loud. He always does that. I don't know how he finds that comfortable to bang down like that, but I guess he's okay with it. I have some dust all over my page from that sharpener. Okay, I'm going to add a second layer to the door and to this shutter now. Turning my pencil. When you're doing detail work, and I hate to call it work because this is fun. Let's say detail drawing. When you're doing detail drawing, it's best to have a sharp tip on your pencil because it's easier to get around little edges like here. You see? If you're doing a large area, it doesn't matter too much. But if you're doing small areas, I think you'll find that the sharper your pencil, the easier it is to get some detail drawing done. All right. This is coming along very nicely. All right, next up, this whole bottom half here, not half, this whole bottom part of the house is going to be brown. And again, let's be careful not to get any brown into our Snoop Dog. Snoop Dog. Our Snoopy Dog. Snoop Dogg is a rap singer. Or a hip-hop singer, I guess. I'm dating myself by calling it rap. Okay, now I'm going to do a second layer of brown here. And be careful. Okay. This pencil is really giving off a lot of dust. I don't know if you see that on the page. Lots of dust around here. All right, this is getting fun. Well, it is fun. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that goldenrod color. Remember I said it was kind of like a really dark orange? And I'm going to fill in the house and the chimney. Not the windows and not the dog. Just the rest of the house and the chimney. And you might notice that I'm kind of not caring that it's going through the dark areas because it's not going to show. So you don't have to worry about that. It makes it kind of easier to color in when you don't have to worry about getting things into the dark areas. The windows, however, I'm going to be careful. And I'm turning my pencil. So, you know, when we're here, we don't have to worry about that shutter. We can go over it. Because dark brown is much darker than this color we're using. But I do want to be careful around my little Snoopy, my little hound dog Jack. There we go. Don't forget to turn your pencil. And I'm going to be careful around that window. And I'm going to be careful around that tree, because that tree is green. Well, my tree is green. Your tree might be a little different color. There we go. So that's our first layer. I'm going to continue on with a second layer of that same color. I'm going to start down here because I still have a little bit of a fine tip and I want to make sure that I get the detail area done and try not to get any color into our little Snoopy dog. There we go. I got a little bit into his tail, but that's okay. Now I can do the rest. But again, I might have to stop to sharpen. We'll see. how much I can get done here, because we are using a lot of color in this one, in this drawing. Isn't that nice? One layer here, 2 layers. 2 layers looks great. And you can do 3 if you like. It's all up to you. Just keep going until you get the color you want. You may be happy with 1 layer. I'm not really a 1 layer gal. I like doing lots of layers of color. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sharpen, because look, it's all the way at the bottom. So why don't I do that? There we go, nice and sharp. Which means I have to be more careful turning my pencil. I'm going to do a little bit over here right now while the pencil is nice and sharp. There we go. I think our little cabin in the woods is going to look really, really nice. Once it's all done, we're going to add a little detail to it as well. But for now, let's just make sure we got a lot of color on the page. There we go. I'm just going to do a quick 3rd layer, just in areas where I think I want to add more color if I think the page is showing too much through. Okay, I'm fine with that. Now, I've decided I'm going to do the chimney that medium sort of dark orange color. Okay, that and the doorknob. So those are going to be the same color. I just broke the tip again. How about a 2nd layer? There we go. Same with the chimney. It's going to be that nice dark orange. Turning my pencil. And we'll apply a 2nd layer of orange to that chimney. There we go. Now for the windows, I've got yellow, and I'm going to color in yellow. Makes it look like there's lights on and there's someone home. We know that Snoopy's home, but I'm sure his fur parents are home as well. And I'm going over a 2nd time with a little 2nd layer. There we go. Same with this window here. Little yellow. Turning my pencil. And I'm going to add a 2nd layer to make that yellow really pop out. Probably adding a third here too. Okay. I'm going to take my black, okay, my black, and I'm just going to go over the little crisscrosses here because the yellow kind of faded it out. There we go. And while we're at it, why don't we go and we color in our little Snoopy dog's nose black with a second layer to make sure it's nice and black. And his ear. Okay, and a second layer. He looks cute. I'm going to give him a little spot on his back because my hound dog Jack had a spot on his back. So there we go. Our little dog is done. Now let's do that tree. I'm going to use that light green again to color in that tree. And we will do a second layer for sure because I want that tree to pop. How are you guys doing? Are you having fun? Are you feeling relaxed? One of my friends was doing a painting last month for Halloween, and she said, oh, while I was painting, I came up with so many great ideas for my house and my kids and my pets and my farm. And I said, of course you did, because you were so relaxed. When you're relaxed, you're not worrying. You're just enjoying yourself and you're enjoying the moment. So a lot of good things can pop into your head. So I think it's important to relax every day. Okay, I'm going to give that a second layer of color. One of my dogs is dreaming, just like Snoopy. Going to try not to get any green into the house. And I'm going to try to finish this tree without having to sharpen my pencil again. But we are using a lot of color in this drawing. That's looking good. Yeah, I'm going to have to sharpen. Oh boy. Lots of sharpening. It's too dull to get around the edges here. There we go. That's easier. How many times have I broken the tips of my pencils in this drawing? I lost count. All right. We're almost done here. I'm just going to go over it a third time to make sure I'm happy with the color. Okay, now let's grab that brown and color in the trunk. And we'll do a second layer to make sure it's nice and dark. There we go. Why don't we take that dark green and we'll just do a little bit of green just around the edges here. You don't have to do the whole thing, just a little bit. Just to create a little bit of a contrast between the house and the grass or the ground. There, that's all we have to do. And now I'm going to grab the gray and we're going to give the chimney a little bit of a smoke. See how I did that? Now I'm just going to color that in. Very simple. And a second layer. Okay, now why don't we add a little bit of detail? For the shutters, let's add some lines, because shutters do have lines. They're little planks of wood, right? So we'll do that for both of them. And I made mine a little uneven just to make it look interesting. For the chimney, I'm going to make it look like bricks, so watch. First, we'll draw lines all the way across. Like that. And then we do lines like this, but not even. We want them to be different so that it really does look like bricks. You see? If we did them all the same, it would just look like a checkerboard, but we want them to look like they're bricks. There. Some nice bricks. And then why don't we just do a few lines in the roof? Like this. And then for the house, just some random lines. They don't have to be anything fancy. Just to give it a little bit of interest like that. Well, I think that is a beautifully completed drawing. I'm enjoying this. All right, so why don't we sign our work? I want you to feel very proud of the beautiful artwork that you created today. I hope you had fun drawing with me and enjoyed this cozy art time. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Rain Francis Art for Kids. Bye for now.